Hey guys, let's talk about Moonwell a little bit today. One of the main lending borrowing protocols on Base ecosystem, which if you've been here before, I'm a big fan of Base. All right, so I do not currently own Moonwell. Full transparency on that one. I did before for a nice little swing trade, but there are so many crypto out of there. A lot of them are garbage. A lot of them are very good, and I feel like Moonwell is in that very good category. It just hasn't really exploded yet with price action. It's actually been on a pretty downward trend, to be honest, even way before the crash, which you can look at a couple of different ways. You can look at it as no one's getting into it, so it's garbage. Or you can look at everything that they're doing, realize it's underpriced, or at least that's my opinion, and see it as a very good chance moving forward in this bull run. Now, real quick, reasons why I don't jump into it and I'm just talking about it is you can be a fan of a crypto and just not buy it. There's only so much crypto to buy at a time, so much funds to put into things. But Moonwell has been on my radar for a while to get back into, specifically when I start moving profits around, as long as it stays under a price that I consider a good deal. So I just want to spend a few minutes talking about things that I like about Moonwell, things I think are bullish about it. And let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys like about Moonwell? What do you want to see more of? While you're at it, if you've been here a little bit before and you get anything from these videos, please do press the like and subscribe button. It does help me out. But with that shenanigans done, let's talk about Moonwell. So ticker WELL. It's a decentralized lending borrowing protocol. It's built on parachains. We'll call it was for Polkadot and Moonbeam ecosystems, but it's, lack of better terms, much bigger and better systems like Optimism, Base, and there's a little bit of Morpho, and there's a couple more that's been going on. And the whole point of a lending and trading or lending and borrowing protocol is to help give money, lend it out to others to use to buy assets or to trade or to stake or put in the liquidity pools. So users, it can be you can put it in there, can supply crypto assets into pools to earn interest while others borrow and they use collateral. And this like gas fees and all, that's where a lot of the interest comes from, is the gas fees and exchange fees that go back and forth. So it's a great little way of making some money on the side as long as you trust the protocol. I've done this a few times on Aerodrome, and I'm actually a big fan of it. I've used Moonwell a little bit. I'll probably be using it more down the road. So WELL is the standard governance token. Okay, token holders can vote on protocol changes. I've never really given a rat's ass about governance tokens, but it does help out to, one, it's profitable. So if you make enough of it, you can always sell them, which a lot of governance tokens really aren't worth crap. So it's nice to see that Base is using this one pretty well, I guess is my main point to it. One of my more bullish things about Moonwell is it's one of the few larger or large enough where it's not sketchy lending trading protocols that does multi-chain. Most don't do that, right? And it's getting better and better connections because the more chains and bridges that it does, not only is it more gas fees and everything that comes into it, but also then there's more crypto that can be used as collateral and buying, selling, trading. Because if it connects just to Base, it only can really do Base tokens. Base and Optimism, now we got Base and Optimism tokens. Add in something like Sui or Solana, and then you get more and more assets that you can throw in there for the lending borrowing protocol. And they're pretty active on making more of these inner ecosystem connections. So I will not be surprised when more and more comes out. Again, they're integrated to Base and they are aggressive as hell. So I do expect to see more chains and cross-chain activity on Moonwell as time goes on. Is it some of the big partnerships and integrations they have? They use Morpho for optimized yields. They use Aerodrome Finance for all the trading fees. And then they use some tools like newer one, they're using Mammo to pretty much make it a lot more efficient for user growth and on-chain access. So Mammo isn't a huge name yet, at least not, I don't consider it a huge name. It's growing. It's not there with Aerodrome yet. But these are three good names, good people to have in your corner, so to speak. One of the most important things you want in a DeFi project like this that has to do with money that you have sitting there is security and audits to make sure that it actually is secure. And they do it pretty routinely. They use external audits, so we know there's no bullshit involved with them saying, yeah, sure, of course, everything's good. Trust us. And since security is always a big deal, they really emphasize security, which is important. Being on base, granted, isn't idiot proof by any means, but base is really good at keeping things secure. Granted, it's not perfect. Anything is hackable, but not all ecosystems are created equal. And having them, their main, we'll call it so far, their main aspect being on base, that puts a lot of trust, at least from me, and I know a lot of others, because there's, again, not every ecosystem is created equal. Some are easier to get into others. Some are just targeted more than others. So always good to see that they're being backed by Coinbase or anyone else large. If they end up attaching or doing any type of partnership with Binance as well, even better. So they do have a data partnership with Token Terminal, which really just makes it more easy and accurate for them to do all the metrics on the backside of all the analytics of revenue metrics, usage metrics, financial statements, and just the performance of protocols. And these are all aspects that play a factor when we're dealing with liquidity pools and how much is collateral worth, how much interest do you get based off of what you're putting in there for other people to borrow. And having a data partnership, it's just more information. So it's more accurate, it's faster, it's more up to date. And then usually it also means they can be more competitive because not all DeFi protocols are the same, right? We don't get the same percentage for everything. And the more information that they have about transaction speeds and prices and yada, yada, they can make it more competitive in terms of the prices that it charges for gas fees, as well as the amount of money that comes back as interest for lending out into the borrowing system. They are relatively transparent, at least in terms of a crypto company. Information is very easy to find, is really what I mean by that. They haven't been accused of hiding anything. They're pretty out front, and they should be, because what their job is collecting people's money to give it out to someone else. And you got to be pretty fucking direct and transparent to build any type of trust with that. And Moonwell does a very good job on that. And they've recently gotten a partnership with Mammo, which is a native token of Mammo. And this was a big deal. I know a lot of people were emphasizing and getting excited about. And I wasn't sure if they were all Mammo people or Moonwell people or hybrid of both. And obviously, going to be a hybrid of both. But this was a good partnership on both sides. They both got to benefit rather well from this one. And it's been pretty well advertised. At least I've been able to see it a lot on my feed. And granted, algorithms, play a factor of what you find. Mammo is an AI-powered personal finance companion. It's built directly on the Base blockchain, so all the native tech is already set in, nice and easy, smooth transition, essentially. And again, Mammo just makes it a lot easier and more specific to simplify how the DeFi for everyday users work. So there's less buttons you have to click. You just really don't have to be as knowledgeable to get into it, which is great because they do some of the tech tools. And you really don't even know you're using Mammo for it, which is even a bigger plus. When you don't know you're using crypto, granted, you know you're using crypto if you're using Moonwell, but most people won't realize that they're using Mammo as well. That's just a plus, at least then for Mammo, because then they're getting fees and transfers and usage just by people who want to use Moonwell and vice versa. I thought this was a pretty damn good partnership. There is, depending on the region, they're even talking about yield optimization, meaning they can get up to 8.8 APY for a USDC at certain times when it's available. 8.8 is pretty effing good, guys, right? The average or the standard is about 4.5. And anytime we see over like 6, it's usually, okay, is this sketchy? Who's the backers here? It's Base. Nothing to me is sketchy about Base, and that's one hell of a yield. Yeah, that's more than enough to help combat inflation, at least as of now. We'll see in a couple of years, but they're able to afford the APY. That's a great sign also. Moonwell also recently has a credit card. This was something I wasn't aware of until I started looking a little bit more into Moonwell. Again, it's been a little while since I studied it. Though I think this is going to be a very saturated market of crypto involving or making their own credit cards, because there's already several of them out there. I know crypto.com has one, MetaMask has one. I'm sure there's plenty of others. I've got my Gemini card, no affiliate, not shilling it at all, but I'm a huge fan of it. So I have not looked into too much details of the Moonwell card simply because I already have one through Gemini. But it's a great way. Typically, the reward is more free crypto, where you can typically either get a set list of crypto or choose which one you get rewards for by just using the credit card. Awesome. I do recommend take a look into some of the credit cards. If you're ever interested in getting a reward card for crypto, it's usually a pretty good option. And Moonwell has now jumped in there too. And it's got the financial backing of Base. Again, I can't get over how big of a deal that is because I do fully believe in the next 5 years, definitely 10, I think Base is going to be larger than Binance. And that might be a little strong of a take, but I really think it is. Things will be a much larger ecosystem over time, just based off of the industrial that's coming in. So Moonwell right now is a short-term play. In my view, it could become a long-term play depending. And I'll be keeping an eye on this one as the markets change into bear markets down the road. There's also a decent chance, I don't think this is official yet. If any of you guys have been really into Moonwell, let me know down in the comments below. But with all the tokenized stocks that are coming onto Base, it looks like Moonwell is going to have an advantage in being a landed protocol for that, which is awesome because now we're talking large money, especially since on Base ecosystem, they're pulling in things like JP Morgan for businesses that can do everything from pay invoices and even payroll through Base. And if they need a loan, where do you think it's going to come from? Moonwell is a strong case of this. So I think Moonwell, again, it's setting up. It's got everything, all the gears in the right place. And as excited as I can get for something as non-sexy as a lending borrowing protocol, it's got the little shimmer. It's a little exciting. I'm a little into it. So lastly, I want to bring up the charts real quickly, just because I haven't done this in a little while. And well, let's see what I have to say from there. So guys, over the last 3 months, not going to lie, this is not the most bullish chart by any means. We've got a pretty steady downward trend. We could probably go right there. I'm going to kind of ignore that crash. I think that's fair to ignore that one because everything dropped. And it did recover pretty well. So let's actually go about, so when I look at it, I think it's going to be a lot better of a line to come this way. A little shorter period of time, but that looks far cleaner in terms of almost touching points. And if we look where we are right now, it's dropped a little bit, but if we come right back up to the next area of resistance, we've touched it somewhat recently. So if you're bullish on Moonwell, that was a little upward, there we go. If you're bullish on Moonwell, we do need to get a little bit more coming in. But right now, I feel like this is an accumulation stage. I don't think it's the end of everything just because of everything that they're working on and doing. Let's zoom in briefly. Yeah, we have a nice little dip coming into the weekend. So this might be a good spot to buy. This is getting pretty low. You can either be bearish and think, oh no, this is not great, or I honestly thought it was still closer to 2.2 cents. This is actually looking more juicy to me too. We'll see if I end up doing a video in the next week about Moonwell and stating that I bought some, even if it's just for a swing trade, do not be surprised. The more that talks about JP Morgan and the Base app just got their major upgrade. I got emails about the beta testing for it and everything. The more Base does, the more Moonwell is going to benefit from. And there is a chance, let's put on our tinfoil hats for a quick second. If we believe that this was market manipulation, which is hard to believe it's not, this also could be too. Industry and corporations are looking heavily into Base. They are buying a lot of Base tokens. And this would be a great little bear trap for corporations to have set to buy in low, pump it up, and then let everyone moon up Moonwell. Yeah, I actually think there's a strong chance of that. So there we have it. This looks like it was over the time I try to go to. If you guys have been here before, you know that happens a lot. I'm sorry. I ramble. Not actually sorry. So with that being said, kind of the end of the video. Let me know what you guys think about Moonwell. Let me know what other Base tokens you like. I'll probably do more specifically if there's enough recommendations or questions about it. And I'll see you guys all again soon. Peace.